All right, so I'm going to show you guys real quick how to add an access panel to your tub. So on this one, you can pretty much eyeball it if you know where you want your access to be. With this one, I would center it on here for a faucet access. So to find that, I'm going to set my tape at 6 inches, and I'll make a line just to know where the straight up and down is. And then what I'll do is I will line my panel up, and then to make sure it's centered left and right, I can just measure each side and make sure they match on both sides. And then once you find your center, you can just tape it down, and I'll just use some duct tape, and then that'll be centered where I want my access to be. Like I said, you can eyeball it and put your access wherever you'd like it to be. You have this whole back area to work with. If it's for a faucet, you're going to want it higher up so you have easier access to the top. And then if you want it left or right, you can do it how you want it. So once I have the panel laid out, I'll make a couple marks around my corners, and this is with a magic marker, dry erase marker, something like that. These are just off Amazon. And once that's done, then you can drill your holes, and that'll put your holes where your nut certs will go into the surround. After that's done, you can pull your panel off. Another thing I always do is make sure I always notate which way is up, which way is facing up on the access or on the panel, just so you know that that's going to be your panel like that. So then once you have your marks like that, I'll use my dry erase marker again, and I will make some notches. So again, you'll have your holes drilled here. I didn't drill them in this one, but then I'll make marks at 1 inch and 2 inches on the sides. So on the sides, I go 1 inch. So I'll make a mark at 1 inch, make a mark at 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. And then I will go 2 inches, 2 inch, 2 inch, 2 inch. And then you can just use some blue painter's tape to essentially connect the dots. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, 'cause this is all going to be underneath your panel, but I do make them as straight as I can get them. And then once you have this laid out, then this is the area that will serve as your access opening. So you'll cut this out. So what I do is I use my same drill bit, and I'll drill all 4 corners here, and then I'll use an air saw to essentially just cut inside this blue tape line. Once that's cut, you can remove your tape, and then you'll have your access opening, you'll have your holes for your nut certs, and then you can crimp your nut certs down and attach your panel, and you're all done. For cutting the access, I use an air-powered air saw here. You can also use something like a Dremel or a Rotozip, something like that. And then, like I said, you're just going to be cutting from hole to hole, just following around, and then you'll cut your corners out, and then essentially you'll just come out with something like this. So you had your pre-drilled holes for your panel itself. We use a nut cert, which actually takes a specialized tool. What you can actually do in the field is, if you just get a nut and bolt, you can actually epoxy the bolt to the backside as long as it's accessible through this opening, and then your bolt can just drive down through your nut once that's set up on the backside, and it'll work exactly the same as we do it. It just won't be a crimp, it'll be a epoxied on bolt, but it'll serve the same purpose, and And then once you're all done with that, you'll be ready to go.